The Transport Accident Commission has been accused of mishandling the care of some of its most severely injured clients. Some people are threatening to take the Commission to court, saying it's been stalling for years on giving them proper living conditions. Cheryl Hall has the story.
Les suffered a brain injury in July of '95. He's been like this for quite a while now. He requires 24-hour care with 2 people, 7 days a week. He's quite complex in his care needs. Due to his injury, a lot of secondary complications such as sleep apnea. We have a lot of tone and spasticity that he needs splints and things for. At one point he was actually able to walk with a carer and a bit of assistance, and we're sort of stuck in the chair a bit at the moment.
125.79.
We ask yes-no questions. He pokes his tongue out for yes. Would you like to demonstrate? Yes. And does a side-to-side for no. So that would be a no. If his mouth actually spasms, we use his hand. And that's a yes. And then side-to-side for no as well. And so we're very good at asking yes-no questions with him.
If Les Kelton could talk, he'd tell you he's extremely frustrated by the delays in fixing his living conditions. His house was modified some years ago, but as his condition has deteriorated, he believes his requests to the TAC have been increasingly ignored.
Les got quite depressed there at one point because he actually believed that the TAC were actually just waiting for him to die rather than fund the needs that he required.
Where can we do this?
We can't hang it in the laundry. We've got dirty washing in there, and that's where there are urinals actually soaking in the sink.
We can't go there. Can't go to either of those places.
Les has outgrown the environment. So whilst you may be able to walk around quite freely, that understanding that Les has 2 care staff with him, he has a lot of equipment, that becomes what we call a footprint. And that may be a 3-metre diameter space. It's unsafe for workers, and it cannot continue.
Les Kelton is mechanically moved by his carers between 20 and 30 times a day. The TAC have refused requests to move him to a different house or to renovate his own house.
There is a huge amount of stalling that we'd made numerous requests for progress towards home modifications. There maybe had been 3 professional reports identifying the needs and the urgency of those needs to be met.
We're very proud of the fact that we have kept him at home all through his injury, and we're very lucky to have been able to do that, and we actually really want to be able to continue to do that. But everybody needs to be safe.
The opposition says it's received a number of complaints over several years. It says the TAC is wasting money in disputes instead of looking after the welfare of its clients.
It's deteriorated into an adversarial system where even minor claims for minor pieces of equipment, minor assistance, are disputed through an expensive and drawn-out legal process rather than being paid out.
When you start getting requests for modifications that seem to exceed the overall value of the property itself, it's incumbent on us to ask questions and to fully investigate whether all the modifications being asked for are required.
The TAC won't comment publicly on individual cases, only to say that some, like Les Kelton's, are extremely complex and difficult.
Obviously, we want to see the best value for money for the taxpayer. That's their funds that contribute to the scheme. We want to make sure that those funds are spent wisely.
Les Kelton's case is now in conciliation and is likely to end up in VCAT. Another long-term case, Paul Wimmering, is already listed for a VCAT hearing in April. 21-year-old Paul Wimmering has been forced to move out of his family's home at Mornington because as he's got older, his house has become too dangerous for him. He's living in a house rented by the TAC for more than $30,000 a year.
Well, it's extremely hard because I'm torn between the 2 homes. I've have to spend most of the time here these days because of the stress it's caused on Paul, being told that he would only be 6 months here. And now we're going into the 2nd year. It was virtually we had to move here. It was for health and safety reasons. We couldn't bath or shower Paul anymore. Over the years he's had a horrific lot of falls and cracked his head open, lost teeth.
Paul Wemmering was hit by a car when he was 3 years old. 15 years ago, the family bought this house on the advice from WorkCover that it could be modified to meet Paul's needs.
Over the 15 years, the process has been a numerous amount of therapists come in to do reports on the home, on making the home stable and suitable for Paul.
Debbie Wemmering says the solutions suggested by the TAC, such as building a separate unit for Paul in the backyard, are not suitable.
The bottom line is it needs better case management, and it needs someone to take responsibility to ensure that these long-term clients with significant needs are managed throughout their relationship with TAC. The problem is, every time they make contact with TAC, they're dealing with a different person.
It's a point the TAC concedes, but it says very few of its cases end up in court.
We recognise that consistency is the best outcome for people who are dealing with the TAC, for them to have a consistent person to deal with. That isn't always possible. People do move through the workforce.
It's little comfort for Les Kelton or Paul Wemmering, whose complex cases are still a long way from being resolved.
Cheryl Hall reporting there.